Here we go with another Star Wars nerd story, okay? Just like I said at the end of the last video, I will be continuing the Sith story, their species, and where they came from, okay? If you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Helps out my channel. Other than that, have fun, be safe, and check this out. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, sometime after the Sith and Rakata War, actually. And this was in a different part of the galaxy. This was in Republic space. Around 25,000 BBY, the Jedi Order started, and it grew for many thousands of years. Some of the more ambitious Jedi took to opening themselves to the dark side of the Force. These Jedi experimented with it and found they could literally bend life itself. They were able to use the dark side of the Force to transform and mutate creatures to their will. The Jedi Council forbid the teaching of the dark side, and some of these fallen Jedi, also known as the Dark Jedi, had been secretly practicing in the dark side of the Force and were eventually prosecuted for their beliefs and for defying the Jedi Council. But as we all know about the dark side, once you use it, you want to keep using it. And so the Dark Jedi grew in numbers and considered themselves free from the Jedi, which started the Second Great Schism. The Second Great Schism was a divided split amongst the ranks in the Jedi Order that occurred in the year 7003 BBY. The Jedi who practiced alchemy and the dark side of the Force, as Dark Jedi, broke free from the Jedi Order and rebelled as a whole, and in the year 7000 BBY, a great war known as the 100-Year Darkness started. The Jedi constantly battled against the Dark Jedi, trying to forbid them from using and experimenting in practices of the dark side. At the same time, the Dark Jedi continued to convert more Jedi to their cause. The war between the Jedi and the Dark Jedi continued for 100 years, hence the name 100-Year Darkness, and ended with the Battle of Corbus. Having fought for nearly a century, the Jedi and the Dark Jedi made their final stand on the mining world of Corbus. Ajun Paul, a leader of the Dark Jedi's campaign against the Jedi, personally slew more than a dozen Jedi before the battle ended. The winners of the war were the Jedi, and only 12 Dark Jedi remained, who were then exiled and wiped from existence in the galactic records. The Jedi then herded them onto a drone ship with no weapons or navigation devices. Then they sent them into an unexplored region in the Outer Rim, far beyond the boundaries of the Republic. Their defenseless ship drifted through hyperspace, guided only by the power of the dark side, when it finally emerged on the planet of Korriban. Upon arrival, the Dark Jedi were astonished to find that the Sith species was a Force-sensitive race and had been since the beginning of Sith civilization. The Sith at this time lived in a societal structure made up of bands of Sith they called circles, each being led by one or more powerful ruling sorcerers. When the Dark Jedi arrived, the primitive, religious, superstitious, and barely civilized Sith species greeted the outsiders with their Sith swords and attempted to terrify them using illusions from Sith magic. However, the Dark Jedi were surprised by this primitive species and their dark side knowledge, some of which they've never even heard of. They took particular interest in the way the Sith drew power from the dark side and their techniques they used, and felt they should take over to take this knowledge for themselves. Protected of their secrets, the Sith felt they should prevent the outsiders from obtaining their knowledge of the dark side and struck back against the Dark Jedi. But they were unsuccessful, and the Dark Jedi proved to be too much for the primitive Sith in more ways than one. The Dark Jedi's strength even outnumbered the strongest Sith sorcerer on the planet of Korriban, and with their force abilities and the use of a lightsaber, the Dark Jedi were able to beat the remaining Sith on Korriban and stole the Sith knowledge of sorcery. And the natives eventually became the unwilling subjects of the Dark Jedi. The Dark Jedi then used the King's Shadow Hand, also known as the King's Right Hand, to lure this self-proclaimed king into their confidence, and then they destroyed him. Astonished by what just happened and the sequences of events that led up to the death of their Sithari, the Sith accepted the Dark Jedi as their master and bestowed upon him King Ados Holocron. The Dark Jedi declared themselves living gods and kings over the Sith people, becoming overlords, and Ajutapal, who was the one who slew 12 Jedi at the end of the 100-year Darkness War, was the first to earn the title of Jannari, Dark Lord of the Sith. The Sith took to worshipping and devoting their lives to their new masters, the Dark Jedi, who now called themselves Sith, who ended up honing their battle arts through Sith sorcery and the Sith knowledge, and expanded their reach from Korriban to the neighboring worlds and star systems. Eventually, all the Sith in the previous Sith Empire space were brought under the rule of the Jannari, the Dark Lord of the Sith. Zeiss was taken as the world capital, where the Jannari would rule from. New starships and weapons were constructed, and with their new knowledge of Sith alchemy, more creatures were produced. The Sith Lords felt that this lifestyle suited them well, and under their rule as the Dark Lord of the Sith, they would reign. The Massassi, who were a warrior subspecies of the Sith, were enslaved by the Jannari and used as foot soldiers for their new developing empire. Now armed with their new Massassi warriors, weapons, and sorcery, some ambitious Sith Lords sought revenge against the Republic. They analyzed the navigation computer that brought them to the Sith planet. These vengeful Sith reprogrammed it against Ajuntapal's wishes, the Jannari, for a trip back to the Republic. These Sith were never heard from again, and failed at their attempt to conquer the Republic, only revealing to the Jedi that the Dark Jedi exiles had survived, and now called themselves Sith over the people that they ruled. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like, comment down below what you want me to do next, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out my channel. Alright, you guys have fun, be safe, get the f out of here.